Ladies, lean in for a second. Let me drop this on you. A man will never walk into a room, look you dead in your eyes, and confess, baby, you are my weakness. He ain't gonna do it. His pride too big, his ego too loud. That man would rather swallow his tongue than hand you that kind of truth on a silver platter. But here's the secret. If you stop listening to his words and start watching his moves, you'll realize he's already confessed without saying a thing. See, men are trained from the ground up to act tough, to act like nothing shakes them, like they got it all under control. They walk heavy, chest out, head high, because that's what they think strength looks like. But let the right woman walk into his life. The woman who gets in his spirit, who lives in his thoughts even when she ain't around, who stirs something in his soul that no one else ever touched. And suddenly, that armor don't fit no more. Cracks start showing. He slips, and you see it, you feel it, you know it. Tonight, I'm giving you the real. I'm giving you the blueprint. 6 undeniable signs that prove you are his weakness. And listen, when I say weakness, I don't mean powerless. I don't mean desperate. I mean the kind of force that shifts his whole world. The kind of presence that makes a man rethink his game, his choices, his future because of you. This ain't about playing games. This ain't about chasing or begging. This is about truth. This is about knowing your worth, standing tall in your power, and recognizing the hold you have. Once you see these signs, you'll never doubt your value again. His silence speaks volumes, ladies. Let's be real. A man might never come out and say, you're my weakness. His pride won't let him. His ego won't let him. But let me tell you the truth, his silence will. That silence, that gap where words should be, that distance he creates. It's not empty. It's full. It's loaded. And if you learn how to listen to silence, you'll realize it's telling you more than any sweet talk ever could. Here's the thing about silence, it's uncomfortable. Most people can't sit in it. But when a man is silent with you, there's a storm going on inside of him. He's replaying conversations in his head. He's questioning himself. He's fighting feelings he doesn't know how to manage. And the reason he's silent, because you've shaken something in him that words can't fix. Silence becomes his safe place, his cover, his way of hiding the fact that you've got him cornered emotionally. Think about it. If you didn't matter, he'd have no problem being direct. He'd tell you he doesn't care. He'd move on. He'd replace you. He'd treat you like nothing. But when a man goes quiet, when he stops explaining, when he leaves gaps, when he leaves you wondering, it's because your presence has unsettled his spirit. Your absence has created a void. And that silence is him wrestling with the fact that he can't admit how much power you hold. Let me give you an example. You've ever pulled back from a man, stopped calling, stopped chasing, stopped entertaining the back and forth. At first, he might act like he doesn't notice. He'll keep that poker face. But give it a little time, and what happens? His silence gets heavier. He starts lurking on your page, starts showing up in little ways, maybe even sending those just checking in texts. Why? Because your silence made him hear his own. And trust me, ladies, a man hates the sound of his own silence when it reminds him of what he lost. Here's the beauty of it. Your silence speaks louder than any argument you could ever have. You don't need to beg him to see your worth. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to keep repeating yourself to prove a point. The moment you stop talking, the moment you stop engaging, that silence becomes the loudest alarm in his life. It tells him, she's not chasing me anymore. She's not here to stroke my ego. She's not entertaining my excuses. And that, ladies, is when he realizes, whether he says it or not, that you are his weakness. And don't get it twisted. Men notice silence. They notice when your energy changes, when your tone shifts, when you no longer react the same way. He may never admit it, but he feels it in his chest, and it rattles him. Because silence means one thing: control has shifted. The game he thought he was playing, over. The power he thought he had, gone. You stopped feeding into it, And now he's left starving for the attention he took for granted. But here's the real kicker. Silence is not just about him, it's about you. When you choose silence, you choose peace. You choose to protect your energy. You choose to stop giving free rent in your mind to someone who hasn't earned it. That silence becomes your shield, your boundary, your reset button. And while he's sitting there wondering what you're thinking, you're using that quiet to heal, to grow, to glow. That's why silence is so powerful, because it works both ways. It shows him his weakness and it builds your strength. Picture this. A man can ignore your calls, ignore your texts, ignore your needs. But when you stop reaching out, when you stop explaining, that's when he feels it the hardest. Silence isn't just quiet, it's a mirror. And in that mirror, he sees the truth that he was dependent on your voice, your reassurance, your presence more than he ever admitted. That's the moment he realizes you weren't chasing him, he was leaning on you the whole time. So ladies, don't ever underestimate the power of silence. It's not passive, it's not weak, it's strategic, it's bold. It's saying, I don't need to scream to be heard. I don't need to fight to be valued. My absence will say what my words don't have to. And let me tell you something. When a man sits in that silence long enough, he'll crack. He'll either rise to meet your value or shrink back because he can't handle it either way. You win. Because his silence spoke the truth. You were his weakness all along. He watches you even from afar, ladies. Let me break something down to you that a lot of men will never admit out loud. When a man can't shake you, when you've touched his soul in ways other women never did, even if he's acting like he's moved on, he is watching you. He may not like every post. He may not comment. He may even pretend like you don't exist. But don't get it twisted. His eyes are on you. He's watching from afar. And that is one of the biggest signs that you are his weakness. See, men have a way of trying to protect their pride. They don't want you to know how much power you have over them. So instead of being upfront, instead of showing vulnerability, they play this silent observer role. They'll check your Instagram at 2 a.m. They'll scroll through your Facebook. They'll drive past places you used to go together just to feel some kind of connection. And while you're healing, while you're pulling yourself together, while you're building your life back up, that man is peeking in, making sure he's not forgotten. Now here's the thing, when a man watches you from afar, it's because he can't stand the thought of you moving on without him. Your glow, your growth, your silence. It bothers him. It reminds him of what he lost. It reminds him of how good he had it. And deep down, even if he'll never say it, he knows no one else matches up to you. That's why he watches. He's not looking because he's curious. He's looking because he's still connected. You are the one woman who got under his skin, and no matter what he does, he can't erase that. But here's where your power comes in. You don't have to respond. You don't have to chase. You don't have to post for him. Live your life. Shine in your purpose. Because the more you do that, the more he'll keep watching. And the more he'll realize he can't replace you. And trust me, ladies, when a man has to watch you become everything he once had access to but no longer does, that is torment for his ego. That is punishment he put on himself. You don't even have to lift a finger. You just have to keep moving. See, when you're his weakness, distance doesn't kill the connection. It amplifies it. It makes him restless. It makes him wonder. It makes him miss. Men will talk tough, act strong, pretend like they don't care, but actions don't lie. Watching you, keeping tabs on you, staying connected in silence. That's his way of telling you, you still got me. But you queen, you don't have to do anything with that information except stand tall in it. Know your worth. Don't crumble because he's quiet. Don't question yourself because he ain't speaking. His eyes are proof enough. His attention, even from afar, is proof enough. Let me give it to you plain. A man can delete your pictures, unfollow your page, block your number, and still find a way to keep up with you. Because when a woman is his weakness, he can't let go. He has to know what you're doing, where you're headed, who you're becoming. And that right there is the sign of your power. His silence is not indifference. It's surveillance. It's obsession. And you don't have to lift a single hand to keep it. Ladies, don't chase the man who watches from afar. Don't run back to him because you know he's still watching. That's not your job. Your job is to keep becoming, to keep rising, to keep building. Because the stronger you stand, the harder it hits him. The more you shine, the more he realizes that losing you was the biggest mistake of his life. And while he's busy watching, you're busy winning. That's the real revenge. That's the real shift in power. He watches you, but he can't touch you. He sees you, but he can't claim you. And every time his eyes wander back to you, it's another silent confession. She's my weakness, and I'll never escape it. He can't handle your detachment, ladies. Let me tell you something real plain and simple. When a man realizes you're no longer emotionally tied to him, it shakes him to his core. See, men love the idea of a woman being there, loving them, caring for them, waiting on them. They may not always appreciate it in the moment, but deep down they depend on it. And the moment you pull back, the moment you stop reacting to his calls, stop crying over his silence, stop begging for his time, he feels it shift in the air. He can't handle it. Because detachment, ladies, is louder than any argument you could ever have. It's colder than any silence you could ever give. It's stronger than any word you could ever speak. Detachment is power. When you detach, it's not about playing games. It's about reclaiming your peace. You stop fighting battles that aren't worth your energy. You stop explaining yourself to a man who should have already understood. And you stop giving your love where it's not being honored. That's when the tables turn. Because he's used to you being emotional, being available, being predictable. But now, when you don't answer the phone, when you don't chase his attention, when you no longer cry at night over his actions, he feels it in his chest. It bruises his ego. It exposes his weakness. Here's the truth: men can ignore your words. They can dismiss your tears. They can pretend not to hear your anger. But they cannot ignore your detachment. That silence hits different. That emotional freedom makes them restless. When you stop showing him that his behavior affects you, suddenly he's the one affected. He can't stand not knowing what's on your mind. He can't handle that you've stopped explaining yourself. And he can't tolerate the thought that you might actually be okay without him. See, detachment doesn't just say, I'm done. It says, I'm free. It says, you no longer control my emotions. And that's the one thing he thought he had over you, control. When you detach, you snatch that control right back. That's why it eats at him. He may act tough. He may act like he's fine. But the truth is, your distance makes him uneasy. He checks his phone, wondering why you haven't called. He replays old conversations in his head, trying to figure out when you changed. And late at night, when it's quiet, he scrolls back to your photos and wonders if you've really moved on. Ladies, don't underestimate the power of detachment. It's not about revenge, it's about restoration. It's not about punishing him, it's about protecting you. Because the minute you stop giving him the reaction he's been feeding on, he realizes just how much he depended on your love to feel like a man. Without your energy, without your emotion, he has to face himself. And that's something most men don't know how to do. Think about it, as long as you're begging him to change, as long as you're crying over his absence, as long as you're putting yourself last, he feels comfortable. He thinks he has the upper hand. But the day you wake up and decide no more, the game is over, your detachment tells him louder than words ever could that you are no longer his. And that terrifies him. So yes, he can try to ignore you. He can try to replace you. He can even try to convince himself he doesn't need you. But the truth is, he can't handle it. Because detachment is the final blow to his pride. Detachment is the mirror that forces him to see the consequences of his actions. And while he's wrestling with that, you're healing, you're growing, you're walking in freedom. Never forget this, ladies, detachment is not weakness. It's the ultimate strength. And when you master it, when you learn how to walk away emotionally before you ever walk away physically, that's when you hold all the power. And trust me, he feels it. He may not say it, he may not admit it, but deep down he knows he lost his grip on you, and there's nothing more terrifying to a man than realizing the woman he took for granted is no longer tied to him. Your growth haunts him, ladies. Let me break this down for you. When you grow beyond the version of yourself that tolerated his excuses, his silence, and his lack of effort, that man feels it like a punch in the gut. Nothing shakes a man more than seeing the woman he thought he had figured out rise up and become untouchable. Growth is haunting because it reminds him of what he lost, what he ignored, and what he took for granted. He doesn't say it out loud, but inside he's tormented by the version of you that no longer needs his validation, no longer waits on his calls, and no longer bends over backward to earn his love. Growth is a mirror, and when you grow, you hold that mirror up to him, and he sees his failures crystal clear. You see, a man can handle your silence. He can even try to handle your detachment, but your growth, that's the one thing he can't escape. Because growth has receipts. He sees it in the way you walk into a room with your head held high. He notices it when you glow from taking care of yourself, when you've poured into your peace, your health, your career, your friendships. He sees it when you're laughing again, smiling again, living again, and not a single ounce of that joy is tied to him. That realization haunts him because it proves he was never the source of your happiness. Think about it when you were in pain, crying, and broken over him. He might have felt powerful. He thought he was the reason you were up or down. But when you grow, when you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start thriving without him, he has to face the harsh truth. He wasn't the prize. You were. And now you're moving like the prize you always were. That's why he feels that knot in his stomach. That's why he lurks, checks your social media, asks about you through mutual friends. He's haunted by your glow up because it screams, you were replaceable in my life, but I was unforgettable in yours. Ladies, don't underestimate how powerful your growth really is. Men measure themselves by their impact. And when he sees he no longer has impact, when his calls don't move you, when his words don't sway you, when his absence doesn't break you, it rattles him. He realizes he lost something real. And your growth forces him to sit with that loss every single day. And let me tell you, growth doesn't just show up in what you do, it shows up in what you no longer tolerate. He remembers the times you would have argued with him for hours, but now, you don't even answer the text. He remembers when you would have dropped everything to be there for him. But now, you prioritize yourself. He remembers when he could string you along with promises, but now, you demand action, and if he can't deliver, you keep it moving. That's growth, and it haunts him because he can't manipulate it, he can't play with it, and he can't control it. Here's the truth. A man can get over losing your body, but he will never get over losing your presence. And when your growth shines so bright that he can't even look away, it leaves him unsettled. Because now he has to ask himself the hardest question. Why couldn't I be the man she needed when I had the chance? That question lingers in his mind like a ghost. That's the haunting. It's not about you trying to make him jealous. It's about you simply becoming the best version of yourself and him realizing he missed out on that woman. And let's get this clear, your growth isn't just about making him regret. It's about making you proud. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, your joy. It's about finally realizing that you were never broken. You were just evolving. And once you evolve, there's no going back. That's what terrifies him most. He knows the woman who begged, cried, and settled is gone. And the woman standing in her place, untouchable, unstoppable. So remember this, ladies. Your growth is the one thing he can't fight, can't ignore, and can't replace. it doesn't just haunt him, it elevates you. And once you step into that space, you don't ever have to look back, because your growth is your revenge, your freedom, and your crown. And trust me, he feels it every single day. He slips up and shows his vulnerability, ladies. Let me tell you something straight. No matter how tough, how cold, or how in control a man pretends to be, when you are his weakness, he can't keep that mask on forever. At some point, he slips. At some point, he shows you cracks in the armor. At some point, the walls he built up start crumbling, and you see the vulnerability he tried so hard to hide. And here's the truth. His slip-ups are proof that you got to him in ways no one else could. Because a man's vulnerability doesn't show with just anybody. It shows with the woman who mattered. See, men are conditioned to act like they've got it all together, like nothing phases them. They'll walk around with their chest out, acting like your absence doesn't hurt, like your silence doesn't bother them. But when the lights are off, when nobody's watching, that's when it hits. That's when the mask comes off. That's when he slips and does things out of character. Things that expose the truth he can't say out loud, that you were never just another woman. You were his weakness. How does he slip? Oh, let me paint the picture. He might send you that late night text, "Hey, you up?" Not because he needs anything, but because he can't stop thinking about you. He might accidentally like a photo you posted weeks ago, scrolling through your page late at night like a man searching for answers. He might pop up at places he knows you'll be, pretending it's coincidence, when really it's his heart pulling him back toward you. That's the slip. That's the vulnerability showing. And ladies, don't get it twisted. That's not just him being careless. That's him being haunted by the fact that he lost something real. Sometimes the slip is in his tone. He'll act cool on the surface, but when he speaks, there's a softness that wasn't there before. Or maybe there's tension in his voice because he doesn't know how to navigate missing you while trying to act like he doesn't. Sometimes the slip is in his questions. He'll suddenly want to know how you're doing, who you've been around, what's going on in your life. Not because he genuinely needs the details, but because he's trying to measure how much of your world no longer belongs to him. And here's where it gets deep. Vulnerability doesn't always look like weakness. Sometimes it looks like anger. Sometimes it looks like him lashing out, frustrated because you're no longer available, no longer running back every time he snaps his fingers. But behind that frustration is fear. Fear that you're really done. Fear that he's lost his grip. Fear that you're stronger without him. Anger is just another slip up. It's just another form of vulnerability wearing a mask. Now listen, ladies. When a man shows you his vulnerability, even if it's unintentional, it's because your presence left an imprint on him. It's because you mattered more than he let on. A man doesn't slip up for just anybody. He slips when his emotions are too heavy to carry, too strong to hide. And when he does, that's when you see the truth. That's when you know you weren't crazy. You weren't imagining things. You weren't overvaluing yourself. He just couldn't say it out loud, but his actions expose him every single time. But here's the part I really want you to hear. Just because he slips up and shows vulnerability doesn't mean you run back. His weakness doesn't mean you abandon your strength. His cracks don't mean you forget the pain he caused. That slip is not an invitation for you to shrink yourself back down. It's simply confirmation of what you already knew. Your value was always real. You were always the one with the power. And let me tell you something bold. When you hold your ground while he slips, that's when he feels it the most, because now he knows he can't hide from himself and he can't hide from you. His slip-ups expose his truth, but your strength in those moments exposes his loss. That's the dynamic shift. That's when the tables turn. He realizes he no longer controls the narrative. You do. So the next time you see a man slip, the next time you catch him peeking into your world, the next time his words contradict his actions, don't question yourself. Don't doubt your worth. Recognize it for what it is Proof that you were his weakness all along. Proof that you left a mark he can't erase. Proof that your silence, your healing, your growth, and your power are bigger than his pride. Ladies, never mistake his vulnerability as your responsibility. It's his to sit with, his to face, his to wrestle with at night. You don't fix it, you don't patch it, you don't carry it. You let him live with it, because it's the consequence of mishandling a woman who is always the blessing, his slip up, his truth, but your strength. That's your freedom. He keeps coming back, ladies. Let me tell you the truth that a lot of men will never say out loud. When you are his weakness, he can't stay away. He might leave. He might try to move on. He might even convince himself for a moment that he's good without you. But deep down, that man is pulled back to you like a magnet. He keeps coming back because no matter where he goes, no matter who he talks to, no matter how hard he tries to distract himself, he can't replace the feeling of you. You see, men are funny creatures. They'll act like they're fine without you. They'll try to flex, try to move on, try to fill the void with somebody else. But when that night gets quiet, when the noise fades, when the distractions dry up, that's when the truth hits him. That's when the emptiness creeps in. And that's when he remembers you, the way you made him feel, the way you listened, the way you challenged him, the way you cared in a way nobody else did. That memory becomes heavy, and before long, he finds himself back at your doorstep, back in your messages, back in your world. He keeps coming back because you are not replaceable. But let's be clear. Him coming back doesn't mean he's ready to do right. Sometimes he comes back because he misses the comfort. Sometimes he comes back because his ego needs the boost. Sometimes he comes back because he wants to see if he still has access. That's why you've got to be wise when he circles back around. Don't confuse his return with his readiness. A man can miss you and still not be ready for you. A man can keep coming back and still not know how to stay. Think about it. How many times have you seen a man walk away only to show up weeks later with that, "Hey, stranger," text? How many times has he tried to slide back in like nothing ever happened? That's not an accident. That's the pull. That's the reminder that you left a mark on him deeper than he wants to admit. And the reason he keeps coming back is simple: you became the standard. Even if he didn't treat you right, even if he failed to step up, in his mind, you set the bar. And every woman he meets after you gets compared to you, and they fall short. Ladies, you need to know the power in that, because him coming back is not just about missing your body. It's about missing your presence, your energy, your spirit. He felt safe with you in ways he can't feel with anyone else. And when he realizes that no amount of running, no amount of pretending, no amount of new faces can erase you, that's when he comes back over and over again. But here's the key. Just because he keeps coming back doesn't mean you have to keep letting him in. Sometimes his return is just confirmation of your power. It's proof that you weren't crazy, you weren't imagining your impact, you weren't overvaluing yourself. It's the universe's way of saying, see, you were always the blessing. But it's also your moment to decide whether you let him repeat the cycle or whether you finally stand firm in your worth and break it. Because the ultimate power isn't in him coming back. The ultimate power is in you deciding whether he deserves access again. And sometimes the most powerful answer you can give is silence. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. Sometimes the real win is letting him keep coming back in his mind while you keep moving forward in your life. So yes, he keeps coming back. Yes, he can't shake you. Yes, you were the one that got away. But don't let his return trick you into lowering your crown. You're not just a woman he circles back to. You are the woman he should have cherished the first time. His return is his reminder. Your decision is your power. And when you understand that, ladies, you'll realize he can keep coming back all he wants, but you never have to go backwards again. Walking away shows him the truth, ladies. Let me tell you something powerful. Nothing reveals the truth to a man like your decision to walk away. Words don't do it. Arguments don't do it. Begging, pleading, explaining, crying, it doesn't change him. But the day you stop talking, stop chasing, stop waiting, and you walk away with your head high, that's the day reality smacks him straight in the face. Walking away shows him the truth he's been running from. The truth that you were the blessing, the gift, the real deal all along. See, here's what most men don't understand until it's too late. While you're there, while you're giving, while you're sacrificing, they get comfortable. They start thinking your love is guaranteed. They start thinking they can play games, go silent, pull back, and you'll always be there waiting. But the moment you pack up your love, your energy, your attention, that's when he feels the emptiness he created. That's when he realizes he wasn't the one in control. You were. Walking away is not weakness. It's strength in motion. It's you saying, I refuse to keep pouring into someone who can't pour back into me. And that act of strength forces him to see himself clearly. For the first time, he's not distracted by your forgiveness, your patience, or your second chances. For the first time, he has to face what life looks like without you. And ladies, trust me, when a man has to sit in that silence, when he has to feel the absence of your presence, that's when the truth cuts the deepest. The truth he sees is that he took you for granted. The truth he sees is that your love was rare. The truth he sees is that no matter how many women he tries to entertain, none of them carry the same fire, the same peace, the same essence you carried. Walking away forces him to confront the fact that he lost the prize because he didn't know how to value it. And don't get it twisted. Walking away doesn't just reveal the truth to him. It reveals the truth to you. It shows you just how strong you really are. It shows you that you don't have to settle for breadcrumbs. It shows you that your worth was never tied to how much attention he gave or withheld. By walking away, you step into your power. And when you do that, his perception changes forever. Because here's what you need to know. Men respect what they can't control. And when you walk away, when you choose peace over chaos, when you choose yourself over his games, you become unforgettable. He might not admit it, but inside he knows. He knows you were the one. He knows he failed to rise to your level. He knows he lost something real. And that truth, it will haunt him far longer than any words you could have ever said. Walking away isn't about making him miss you. It's about making yourself proud. It's about choosing to live in alignment with your value. It's about proving to yourself that you'll never again settle for less than you deserve. And when you walk in that kind of strength, ladies, you don't just show him the truth. You show yourself the truth, that you were never weak. You were never desperate. You were always the prize. So remember, this walking away is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter where you hold the pen. And trust me, when he sees that, that's when the truth hits him hardest. Because he'll realize he lost you not because you weren't enough, but because you finally realized you were more than enough. Closing message day. You are the standard, ladies. Let me leave you with this. Never confuse being a man's weakness with being weak yourself. When a man is shaken by your presence, when he can't stop circling back, when your absence leaves him restless, that's not your downfall. That's your power. You are not powerless in that moment. You are holding all the cards. But here's the thing, you've got to know it. Because the minute you forget your worth, the minute you start chasing his validation, you hand him the very strength that makes him weak for you in the first place. Your worth isn't measured by how many times he slips up, how many times he watches from the shadows, or how many times he comes back. Your worth is measured by how deeply you stand in yourself with or without him. That's the real crown. That's the real standard. You don't need his confession. You don't need the big speech. The signs are written all over his actions. His silence speaks. His eyes wander but always land back on you. His jealousy reveals what he won't admit out loud. His slip-ups uncover what his pride tries to hide. His returns, that's the loudest confession of all. So stop questioning what you already know. Stop doubting what's right in front of you. A man may not always tell you with words, but he will always show you with actions. And when his actions scream what his lips can't confess, that's your answer. So wear your crown, stand tall. Remember, you are not just his weakness. You are the standard. You are the prize. And the moment you realize that, you've already won.